One pop up there. It's a hundred. You got it now.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the top of the hour on Wednesday, 10 o'clock 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern, and wherever time zone you're in. This is a Cup of Joe morning show, and we're excited to be with you. I got my man, as always, Malcolm in the middle, because he's always in the middle of everything that's happening here. I call him Malcolm Brown, but of course he's Malcolm Jackson, Action Jackson. So what's going on? What's good with you this morning, bro?
Oh man, it's just another day in the neighborhood, like they like to say. Another day in the neighborhood, getting things done. Glad you're in the building, and I love to hear you speak at all times, man.
Oh, listen to you, man, being extra nice.
I'm serious. I'm serious. I go back and listen to your shows a week after, and I'm like, man, this guy knows his stuff. And so if that's icing on the cake, or brownie points, hey, I'll take them.
Come on, man. You get it the way you can get it, right?
I'll take them.
Well, I appreciate you, man. And we definitely, man, again, seriously and sincerely want to be a blessing to as many people as we possibly can. So what I'm going to ask that you do before we even get started on our topic today, I want you who are in the viewing or listening audience to tag a friend, because this information is not just for one person. It's not just for this person or that person. It's for anyone who wants to demystify, which is to say, to take away and remove the fog out of these financial situations, like buying a home, like getting your credit repaired to prepare to buy a home, even dealing with relationships. We had a great topic last week that we were talking about the trauma that that is afflicted upon us, no fault of our own in a lot of cases, but the trauma that's inflicted on us as young people, as children, that literally stays underneath the surface all of our lives, and then it comes up at inopportune times. And we can probably be on that subject, man, for another 8 programs and not even scratch the surface of it, because there's so much of it going on, so much dysfunction that comes out of the trauma that we experienced when we were younger, where we didn't have the ability. Think about this for a moment as we're sort of like recapping. We didn't have the ability at ages 7, 8, or 9, or whatever age the situation took place, to rationalize, to make a conscious decision that this is not going to hurt me. And again, we made that decision, and we talked about it last week, but that decision was to make sure it never ever touches me again. So we set up a barrier, and we set up certain walls that as adults we still are struggling with, but if we had as children, the way and the means of navigating and working through, we just don't. So we have to do it as adults. But the problem is, and I should say the problem, but the challenge is, many people don't see it as an issue. They just don't. They skirt over it because, here's an old saying, Malcolm, that says the cave entrance that gives you the greatest intrepidation, which is the greatest fear and loathing of going into it, is literally the one that holds your greatest blessing. Yes. So many people are dealing with pain and hurt from years ago, and it's likened into going and diving into it for resolution is like going into a cave, man. That's spooky as hell.
Yes, sir.
And most people have so much fear that they don't want to go and take a deep dive into that cave. But in that, if they were to take that deep dive, they'll find that there's a lot of answers to, even unasked questions in their lives. So yeah, not trying to be a psychiatrist or a psychologist, because I am neither or none of that, but what I am is a human being that has lived enough, gone through enough to say, man, I had to get help. I had to get, resolution, because man, why be the one that on the surface looks like everything is rainbows and peaches and cream,
Right.
but you're literally crying yourself to sleep.
Yes.
And in torment. You know what I mean? So we don't want that.
No.
So our topic last week, as I was being instructed here this morning, hit home with a few people, and we will, you know, revisit that topic. And if you so see fit, we can actually talk about it. You know what I mean? Malcolm, why don't you do this? Why don't you give the number? And we want this. This is an active line, guys. We're going to call this the coffee break call, right? The coffee break lines. And we want to open up the line so you guys can feel free to, you know, pose whatever questions or comments that you have on your heart. That way I know that we're, you know, hitting the mark. You know what I'm saying? We're on target. We're not just coming up with topics that we believe will be impactful. We're coming up with topics that, you know, by the response we're getting from the listening audience, you know, we know we're on target with the subject matter. So if you may, give that number here.
The call-in number is 832.
That's 832
560
560
2885.
2885. Give it to them again, ladies and gentlemen.
832
832
560
560
2885.
2885.
Call in on topic to the Cup of Joe Morning Show.
Yeah, let's do that, guys, because again, this is something that we know it's real. You know, we don't talk about it. And that's part of the biggest challenge, Malcolm, in our community, talking about us, African-American, Blacks, call us what we want to call us what they want to call us. We are very secretive when it comes to the inner workings of our heart and our mind. We don't trust nobody. We have trust issues sometimes, man, based on the trauma that we went through when we were children.
Yes, sir.
It's just manifests itself into issues that, you know, we basically just navigate through them, but that doesn't make it right or wrong. It just means that there's a far more excellent way. And what did we say last week was the route that we took, that I personally took to, and am still yet taking to navigate through the trauma of losing my mother, of losing my pops, losing a big brother by gunshot violence, you know, by gun violence when I was a senior in high school, you know.
Yes.
The model that we use, and good morning, Miss Lisa. Good to see that beautiful smile this morning. The model that we used is simply exposure brings disclosure, which through Christ brings closure.
I love how you worded that. That was excellent.
Man, that was something that the Lord, I believe the Lord gave me again to make it make sense, because he knows how I learn, how I can remember things. Sometimes it's got to be like a little quip, a little something that's memorable. Yes. So exposure means to expose it, to bring it out, to bring it to the surface. And a lot of times bringing something to the surface is very painful, but it at least helps you to acknowledge that thing is there, right? And then we go into the disclosure part. Once it's been exposed, and trust this, guys, it is God himself, the Spirit of the Lord himself, who is allowing the exposure to take place. And if there is nothing that we can agree upon this morning, Malcolm, we have to agree that we are in a time of exposure. God is exposing the folly, the foolishness of so many respected or traditionally respected individuals and corporations and entities and industries, because it's like we're in the last days of this thing. So he's exposing all the foolishness because it's the foolishness of the world. As a matter of fact, it is the wisdom of the word that's going to bring forth the foolishness of the world, meaning that we're going to learn through the word of God. And I don't want to make this preachy, but hear what I'm saying. We're going to learn through the word of God and see through no longer rose tinted glasses or veiled eyes. We're going to see the full exposure of the foolishness. Yes. I'll give you an example. I just watched on CNN the other day, and we're on topic. Just give me a moment here, right? I was watching on CNN the other day that there is a congressional amendment that was just drafted and approved in the House and the Senate. It's like an ethics committee meeting that basically says we're going to now have a code of ethics for the Supreme Court justices. We're talking about the highest office of law in the land has to have a code of ethics given to them because of how they've been acting and doing things that are just uncouth.
And that's and I'll keep this short. That's odd because when I took government in high school and in college, I was taught about something that's called a system of checks and balances that was supposed to be already in place. Does that mean that they got rid of that or something?
No, man. I think we've just gotten lost in. I think we've just gotten lost in the time that we're in now. That again, referencing the last days, that men would be lovers of themselves and ungodliness would reign. You know, think about what's going on even right now, bro. And I don't want. Oh Lord, if we're gonna talk about this, we're gonna be here for a while talking about the dysfunction of the world, because we're talking about the world being the world system. Remember last week we were trying. I was doing my best to define the difference between the world and the earth, because there's two different things. One's tangible, one's intangible. It's likened unto the mind and the brain, right? Remember I was trying to make that point plain. And even when I listened back, it didn't come off as plain as I wanted it to. But the point is, the world is so corrupt right now, and it's being exposed as corrupt. We see it in this, and this is not political. So don't anyone who might take it as political understand it's just to make the point. We have a former president of the United States of America sitting with two impeachments, right? Four. Let me get the resume first, Malcolm. 4 federal indictments, and count these, ladies and gentlemen, 91 federal felony charges. Yet they have polls stating that this guy is leading, that the United States of America's voting system is saying we want him back as president.
Crazy.
If this is not a sign of dysfunction and corruption, right? 91 felony counts. But God is exposing this, man.
Make it make sense.
Come on, bro. God is exposing it. So back to the exposure brings disclosure. Once it's been exposed, now we can disclose it. And again, I'm a mortgage guy. Disclosures is a technical term, which basically means what really speaks to what I do as a mortgage professional is when you go under contract with the home, meaning that you create your realtor creates a purchase agreement because you made an offer that was accepted. Once we get that loan, once we get that contract, as a mortgage company, we have to disclose that loan, which is to say we have to give you all the parameters, all the information of that loan. Even though the loan is not complete, we have to disclose it, which means we have to make it plain, make it clear. In other words, we have to talk about it to you. And the way we talk about it to you is we disclose it in digital form or even a hard copy form, so you can be enlightened on what it all entails. That's where the disclosure comes in. So when God exposes something, it's now left to us to disclose it, which means to talk about it, to get it up in the open. Let's stop hiding behind the pain and the trauma and the whatever it is, like what happens in this house stays in this house. No, this is not Vegas, partner. Right? This is something that's going to affect my child. My childhood affects my adulthood. If I'm not careful, in a negative way, it could affect it. That's right. So God will allow us to have it exposed, then disclose. And here's the way that we work out our soul salvation with this thing. We utilize the Word of God through prayer, fasting, if need be, supplication, and we are essentially bringing closure to this thing. It's through Christ, the Word of God, the Christos, right?
Yes, sir.
The Logos Word of God, that brings closure to the situation, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's not just a cute little quip that I came up with. It's more textured, as you can hear now. The God will expose it so it can now be disclosed and talked about. And let's dialogue. Let's have some open, honest dialogue about it. Okay. It could be a rape that took place as a child. It could have been an inappropriate touch from an uncle. And listen to this, bro. It's happening with men as well. There's men who was inappropriately touched or fondled by a babysitter as a child. Yes. And now they come up confused on their sexuality. Yep. And I'm not saying any and everyone who's coming up, as what do you call all these non-binary and all this? I can't get into all that because I don't have enough workable knowledge on it. But all of that is a cause and effect. You know, it's called causality, I think is how you pronounce it. Causality, meaning that it's something that happens as an effect, and this cause this happened. And if we don't link those two things together, we might just think that the whole Black community is just going off and wanting to be gay. No, it's a lot of stuff happening in the Black community, a lot of trauma happening. We all in the Black community sincerely need to have some sort of resource to work out our salvation and maintain a semblance of peace, because we are traumatized by living in a racist society. Can I say that twice?
Yes, sir, you can.
We have been traumatized over the years as a people, right? Based on the fact that we are living in a nation of that the power structure hates us. You know what I mean? And have always done anything and everything to keep us down, keep us out of power, keep us man, the devil is a lie. Somebody trying to call me. I don't want to talk to nobody right now. So you're gonna call me when I'm in the middle of a live. I'm sorry. My phone just rang, y'all. That happens. On the live radio. Cindy, tell these people don't call me while I'm on the radio, while I'm on Facebook.
Tell our listening audience, the new listening audience, the ones who are just now tapping in, exactly what they're listening to right now.
Well, this is a Cup of Joe morning show, and guys, we're here talking every Wednesday morning from 10 a.m. Central Standard Time all the way to the 12 noon hour, and we're talking today about, we're going to get into a topic that I think is important, which is real estate and realtors. But right now we're doing a recap of what we talked about last week, which is dealing with the trauma of childhood that rears its ugly head in adulthood, and what's the most effective ways of dealing with those traumas, right? And I believe this, Malcolm. I believe that, and there's a scripture that speaks to this. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? Now, I know his soul, the soul that we're talking about is a man's mind, will, and emotions, right? But when we're saying what does it profit a man, it's no profit if you are the richest man in Babylon, right? Yet you have exactly. Yet you have a traumatized interpersonal life that you cannot even navigate through yourself. What does it profit a man to lose your soul but gain the whole freaking world? So we're not going to gain the world on this program, but I do hope that we're going to start getting back pieces of our soul, of our peace, right? Mm-hmm. Of our mind and our will and our emotions that we have let people run roughshod through when we were defenseless children. We didn't know any better. Some of those people that did some of these dastardly deeds against these young children, which is of course still going on today, which makes I still have hope for the future, but it makes me pray for the future, because I know a lot of things that's happening right now is traumatizing young children that if it goes unaddressed, we're talking about a generation and multiple generations moving forward that are going to be dealing with all types of dastardly deeds and trying to navigate through them. Mm-hmm. So we got to be honest with ourselves and know that we're all a work in progress,
All a work in progress.
All of us.
No one's perfect.
And Angela, the devil can try to interrupt my thoughts. And that's all it is. It's a try, but a try is a lie to me. But listen, I hope we covered that. Is that a good recap of what we were rapping about?
Excellent.
Okay. And if we have anyone else that wants to chime in on that, my Facebook crew, I appreciate you guys as always. I see you in there. Let me give a couple of good morning shout outs here. Let me go to the top because I've seen a few that came on. I see my niecey, let me just be more adult. I see my niece Deborah Reeves is on. Absolutely. Wally Spence has jumped on. Margot Jones Owens, always supportive. Good morning to you there, Miss Margot. My wife, who is always in the background supporting and navigating things for me. Cindy is on. Thank you, baby. We got Sabrina Copeland, a good friend out of Flint, living in Atlanta, Georgia area. Wanda Hodge, another good friend. Hey, Miss Wanda, love you, sis. And of course, Cindy is doing her job of connecting people like Felicia, who is always on, Felicia Reeves Nunn, who is always on supporting and getting information, asking great questions. And again, we have Carlene Johnson, who's checking it out because I believe CJ is going to be on with us here next week. So I'm excited about that. And of course, we have Stacy Stocker, who is always supporting the Cup of Joe morning show by her attendance and her chiming in. And I mentioned Wally Spence. Wally, what's going on, Wally Gator? Love you, brother. So yeah, guys, we were set to have this morning a realtor come on that was going to, I was going to interview and give you literally the naked truth on why it's so important to have a realtor. Why is it so important with these types of transactions, which we know are the largest transactions that most people, largest financial transactions, I should say, that most people will undertake, which is that of buying or selling a house, right? So we know it's important to not try and navigate those, those shark infested waters without the help and navigation of someone who's a trained, certified expert in those things, right? And I'm an advocate of that. I don't think, again, I sound like I'm babbling, but I'm trying not to. I've always told people, man, that leave the expertise to the experts. I mean, leave those things that require expertise to those who actually has the expertise and the certification. And I liken it unto someone going to the dentist, someone as opposed to going to the dentist, working on their own teeth. And as one who just had oral surgery on Friday, whose mouth is still yet hurting yet today, I will tell you, it is a bad proposition, Wally Gator, to try and work on your own teeth, man. It's too painful. But I know a lot of people, they work on their own credit, even, a little bit today on selling their own house, Is someone calling in?
Yes, sir.
Let's hear it. We got a call in. My goodness. Stop the show.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe morning show. Who do I have the pleasure of speaking with?
Good morning. This is Miss Tamaris Massengate.
Hey, TM Consultants in the house. What is good in the neighborhood, my sister?
Yes, I happened to catch you guys. I said, you know what? Let me jump on and say good morning and just give you some support this morning. I love what the topic is about today.
Yeah, we're actually recapping what we talked about last week with this situation, Seth, and I know we all can relate to it, And let me just, now that I got you on the phone, you wasn't just gonna get on and just get off.
Come on.
I mean, come on now.
Don't do me like that.
I was just talking about expertise and how important it is and how I'm such an advocate of, working with people who have expertise, experts in the field that you need help in. Right?
Absolutely.
We know that you're an expert when it comes to, credit repair, but it's not just credit repair. So why don't you do this? Why don't you tell the listening audience right now, first of all, give us a little quick bio of TM Consult, what you do, and certainly what you do even beyond the credit repair aspect of your business.
Joe, I'm gonna get you.
I know it. I know you. Listen, you probably ain't even had your first cup of coffee yet, thinking you just gonna jump on and say hi. You ought to know better.
I know. Well, thank you for the introduction. My name is Tamaris Massengale, and I am the owner of TM Consultant, and we provide financial literacy as well as credit restoration. And as Joe stated, I believe not in the era of credit repair, because you shouldn't be repairing anything that shouldn't be on there anyway.
Ooh,
it's restoration. You're restoring it back to what it should be, according to what congressional law states it should be. So that's why I don't like to say credit repair. It's credit restoration.
Yes.
And through my process, not only do we create your credit profile to reflect what you want it to reflect, but I educate you so that it's a one-time visit. As much as I love to make relationships and keep on, I don't believe in you having to come back and forth, because we're going to educate you on what credit is originally for, which is to be a building block in your financial experience with your family, and for you to build a legacy, right? We're in the era that you have to have a history that is credible, right? And that's whether on your job, with your finances, so on and so forth. Additionally, I assist with small businesses getting into the space of government contracting. So that's educating you, that's mentoring you, that's teaching you how to pursue contracts, as well as certifying your business as a minority, a veteran-owned or disabled veteran-owned business.
Done. Absolutely. And we got a hand clap for you, sis, because that's what's up. Go ahead. It's gonna come. Hey, listen, this is live radio, so I'm over here talking to my engineer, like, man, give her a hand clap when she's up, when she's done.
Ms. Tamaris Massengill of TM Consultants, this is for you, man.
I feel so special. Thank you. Thank you. I've waited all my life.
Listen, seed time and harvest. It's a sound effect today. It's going to be a real reality tomorrow. But we,
come on now.
We appreciate you, though, sis, sincerely. And you know, personally and privately, you know, we're working together now. And we're going to be doing some big things in the future. And I'm excited about it. And I thank you for your contribution to
absolutely
demystifying this whole thing so we can move faster and get to the places, especially financially, that we know that we both need and both deserve. You know what I mean? As a people.
Yeah.
So that's what's up.
Yeah.
And
yes, absolutely. 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 Well, I just wanted to jump in and say hello and good morning. And I'm so very proud of you. And I appreciate what you're doing for the people, for the culture, bringing relatable context to the surface and breaking it down in a very simple manner. And I think that's where a lot of our people get lost when we begin to speak over their heads. Not to say that our people are not intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get it misconstrued, but the way we learn is different. So I appreciate how you deliver the information, and it's very, very relatable. And I'm thankful for you taking on this target practice, because you know when you start opening up the door to the truth, everybody and their mama come out the world to try to dispel what you're saying. You know that, right? So I appreciate you.
Oh yeah, I got gray in my beard with this. I've been doing this for a minute. This is nothing. This is nothing new. But I appreciate it. I do. And to that point, and again, thank you, Tamaris, for joining us here this morning. To that point, I believe, man, again, that if you're going to have information that's going to benefit, or not even information, if you got anything that's going to benefit the masses of people, it can be a mere idea. That idea has no impact if it's kept to yourself.
That's right.
The key is you get that thing out to people, as many people that can benefit from it. That's your audience.
That's right.
And if you really got a heart serving God, you will do it the Chick-fil-A way. You know,
that's right.
The Chick-fil-A way is to give it away for free at first. You sample it at first.
That's right. That's
Get
right.
people enjoying it, and then they'll be willing to pay for what it is that they have they so enjoyed, even if it was free. Now everybody can't work their business that way. You ain't giving away free, credit, credit restoration, but the free information that you give is likened unto sampling, the bourbon chicken in the mall, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So when they come and get the full service of the TM consultant, then they can get the full brevy of what it is that you offer. So again, we salute my sister, and we thank you. And we're about to jump into a different topic here. So thank you so much again, and keep listening. And
I appreciate you.
Tag some friends. Let them know we're here.
I got you. Absolutely. You guys have an amazing day. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right now.
We had another caller calling in. Want to encourage you to continue calling in. We had a caller already on the line, but we want you to call back. The number is 832-560-2885.
2885. One more time for the people in the back that didn't hear you.
832-560-2885. And that is the number to the Cup of Joe Morning Show. We want you to call in on topic this morning, and every Wednesday morning, every hump day morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. The information is on the screen for those of you who are watching at Real Talk 100 Radio on YouTube or Facebook. Back to the Cup of Joe Morning Show.
Absolutely. And we're going to incorporate a lot of stuff, guys. And you're going to find that this morning show is going to take on a life of its own, because we believe if you do good work with a good heart and good intention, God's going to put his hand on it. And when that happens, I believe in seed time and harvest. I believe that, if you're doing it with the right mindset, and we're not all trying to, give misinformation. We talked about misinformation last week. We ain't going to be doing misinformation. We're going to give you some proper information. And we do encourage you to look it up if it's something that you hear on this program today, yesterday, or tomorrow. It doesn't matter. Feel free to research it for yourself, because sometimes, because of the time frames that we're working within, we don't have time to fully elaborate on everything, but we want to give you enough information to at least go in and empower you to research it on your own and be empowered. Okay. So with that being said, I want to go into a subject matter that is, again, I had a realtor that was expected to be on here today, and she may yet still join us via the radio line, the coffee break lines. But we're going to just go in and just talk a little bit about realtors and why it's important, to have a realtor in your corner operating with you while you're looking to make this transition, these transactions that it would include either buying a home or certainly even selling your current home. And then when you add the fact that you want to buy another home, you better have a realtor involved. It's a lot of stuff to go through. So I'm going to go through the top 8 benefits of using a realtor to first sell your home, right? When you're thinking about selling your home, but you're stuck on the age-old question, are you going to list the home yourself, or are you going to find and employ what we know as a listing agent, right? Of course, selling your home involves more than just listing it. You'll want to get your home inspected and ready for viewing. You'll also need someone to host open houses, or at least show the home to potential buyers. And that's what the realtors do, right? And what if there's multiple offers? How do you navigate through that? Who will handle all those negotiations on your behalf? And what price should you actually sell your home for? I know a lot of people, man, who privately, personally, we've had private conversations, and they had a real tough time selling their home because they were doing it by themselves. And there is a way of doing it. And the law doesn't require that you have a realtor to sell your home. It's what's known as a FSBO, or for sale by owner. But I'll talk about that in just a moment. But just understand, it's likened to going to the dentist as opposed to doing your dental work yourself. Mm-hmm. It could be monetarily painful to you by not having the expertise of a licensed, experienced realtor on your team. So you can see where we're going with this, right? There's a lot to handle when you're selling your home, and you throw in another home and moving it, and it can be downright maddening, right? That's where the realtor and the realtor agent comes in. They know the local market, they know the pros and cons of listing your home, and they know how to leverage multiple offers to get you the highest price and the best terms for your home, or both in this case. So there's a risk versus reward thing that we're talking about. And I appreciate, Stacy, that you're over there tagging some realtors. And I'm going to pause for the calls and say, please, guys who are listening now on Real Talk 100 Radio, or on my personal Facebook page, or on YouTube, or wherever you're hearing this broadcast, tag a realtor onto this here. Even when on the replay, you can tag a realtor that they might be able to get this information, and they know the information, but we might even give an opportunity for some of them to get on the show and to contribute to the content of the show. And I also challenge everyone. I always challenge people to say, hey, if there's anything that you hear on this show that I've spoken that you deem to be in error for whatever reason, please feel free to challenge me. But it's not really challenging me. It's just really challenging the information. But of course, we do everything, respectable and above board, right? But with that being said, there's a risk and reward factor when you're talking about selling your home. Many people believe going for a sale by owner, which we call a FSBO, for sale by owner route, can save money since they don't have to pay the agent any commissions. That might be true, but typically, as good as it sounds, it also opens up some possibilities that could cause risky situations for you, right? So this sounds good on face value, and I'm going off my notes here, so I don't want to stray too much. But the truth is that you might save a commission, but still fail to achieve the highest price when selling your home, right? So in other words, if you sell your home and you enlist a realtor to do so, you're putting forth 6%, a total of 6% of the commission for the combination buyer's agent and seller's agent, right? The agent that, since you're the seller in this case, they represent your interest, right? If they list the house for you and another agent brings a buyer to it, they split that commission. So if you do a FSBO or for sale by owner, the rationale behind that is that you're not having to pay that 6% commission. But what is 6%? Can you calculate something for me? Can you calculate 6% of 300,000 very quickly?
Yes, sir. Going to calculator now.
It should be like 9,000.
300,000, you said?
Yes, 6% of 300,000. And anybody who's listening, if they're quick with it, bouncing on the chat so I can have it.
I've been out of school a long time. You put me on the spot.
Talk to me.
180,000.
No.
Right?
It's going to be a much smaller amount. We're talking about 6% of 300,000. So
18,000.
There we go.
I was just forgetting how many decimals were
there. We go.
So it's 0.06.
No, we got it. I just don't want to lose my thought with this. So that's what I'm trying to get you to go through it. No, so it's 18,000. Mm-hmm. So the point with this is that you could risk selling your home for a whole lot less. And let's say you do it by yourself as opposed to using CJ, for instance, the realtor. She could have helped you get $58,000 more on the property, but you didn't want to invest $17,000, $18,000 in order to do that. You didn't want to put at risk $17,000, $18,000 in order to do that. I think when people look at it from that perspective, it just makes sense that having a realtor in play could definitely make for a profit for you, as opposed to looking at the cost of, a realtor. And I'm not even going to talk about if you're buying a house, because guys, if you're buying a house, understand that you do not pay. As a buyer, you don't pay the realtor commission. The seller, as I just described, pays the realtor commission, right? I'm only just giving you something to consider. If you were to sell a house or sell your house, consider getting a realtor involved, because there are certainly advantages to it. Because the one disadvantage, or the advantage of going through the FSBO, for sale by owner route, is to save the 6% commission. But sometimes that's minuscule compared to what you could have easily gained by having your home properly, presented to the market, and they optimize your buying price or your selling price. Okay, so how can a realtor help? So here are the 8 reasons. I alluded to this, and I just went through all that just to say here are the 8 reasons. How can a realtor help? And listing listing agent can help you with the sale of your home. Number 1, working with the real estate agent can get you top dollar. All the babbling I did over the last few minutes is to say they have a way, because they know what's going on, right? That they can help give you top dollar. For sale by owner homes don't sell as quickly typically, or for as much. I mean, statistically speaking, let me say that twice. For sale by owner homes don't sell as quickly, and not typically for as much as if you enlist a listing agent to do it. A listing agent is an expert in the local market as well as current sales data. These are huge benefits when it comes to selling your home. And here's one thing, right? The sales data from popular real estate websites aren't nearly as reliable as data that the real estate agents have in their that they have access to. Website data can backfire if it inspires you to list your home for more or less than what the home is actually currently worth in the market. So, and I say this to say, a lot of times we'll go by what's on HAR or what's on Realtor.com, where the realtor, being licensed in the state that they're in, they have what's known as the multiple listing, right? The MLS. It's much more detailed and granular and accurate and up to date and real time than any of these other sites that we as lay people could go to determine what we should sell our house for, right? Statistics show that on average, homes listed with an agent sell for a higher price, typically between $58,000 higher on average according to the most recent information from the National Association of Realtors. So again, does it make sense? And this is just, it's common sense. Does it make sense to lose 58,000 trying to save 18,000?
No, sir.
It just, I mean, let's have a conversation.
None whatsoever. None whatsoever.
You did. So I think that's the rationale behind that. Number two, realtors understand the market, right? Real estate agents have house by house, street by street, and market by market experience. And I mean, when I say, listen, I'll prefix it. I mean, I'll quantify it later, right? Real estate agents have house by house, street by street, market by market experience. When competition is fierce, they can help you with strategies to buy or sell your home. That's why it's important to have them in your corner. Number three, working with the real estate agent lowers your risk. When you work with an agent, you share some of the risk of the home buying and selling with that agent. As a seller, you're paying the real estate agent to assist you, advise you, and to help navigate the transaction. Here's the word: legally and safely, right? Ignorance is not a protection when it comes to law, guys, in any transaction, in any industry. We can't plead that we just didn't know. So again, I think it's important that we always, if we're dealing with something, especially as large as the buying or selling of a house, that we have experts involved with what we're doing, so we're not at our own, utilizing our own understanding of a thing. Matter of fact, I always say, get out of your own way, because sometimes the fact that we think we have an understanding of a thing causes us to move in ways that, had we had a correct understanding, we would have not moved that way. So I'm just an advocate of that. And I'm going to read what some of the tests, some of the things are saying here in the, matter of fact, I'm going to pause. What are you saying, CJ? Divorce listings greatly benefit the usage of, what you got? Oh, CDRE. And you're going to have to elaborate on what CDRE, current data real estate or something. So yeah, give me what that means, CJ. I got a realtor chiming in here. And again, it's good information. Number four is listing agents are well versed in the process of buying and selling, right? Real estate agents can negotiate more than just price, right? They know all the terminology and can help navigate the dozens of sticking points that keep transactions from closing, including repairs on the properties, closing costs, timelines, rent paybacks, which is something that happens a lot, right? Inspection issues, and so much more. When we're talking about rent paybacks, it happens a lot where someone sells a house, Malcolm, and they'll have a set close date, but they're not physically ready to move out of that house, though they've closed, the seller has sold the house, the buyer has closed on the house. So once that transaction is complete and a wire from us comes to the title company, that buyer owns that house, right? Yes. So they can take ownership, but it's negotiated in the contract that they could have a delayed move-in date. Well, guess what? Because they own that house, it's negotiated that the seller of the house, hear this, if they want to stay for 15 extra days, whatever the mortgage payment that this buyer now is going to be obligated to pay on this mortgage, we do what's called a per diem. It's just basically a cost per day that seller now has to pay back to that buyer to stay in that house for the extra 15 days. So if the per diem is $36 a day or $75 a day, whatever it is, right? See, if I had my calculator in front of me, and forgive me, ladies and gentlemen, for not having it, because I'm doing so much talk about it. I need to have my calculator because I can just go on my calculator and just give you these numbers. But if your mortgage payment is $2,000 a month, right, and they're going to stay for 15 days, that's essentially meaning they're going to owe you $1,000. But it's not just saying $1,000; it's the number of days times a certain per diem. Per diem is normally an interest accruing, but in this case, it's a daily rental cost or a rent back. They're renting it back from you. And it happens more often than what people realize, but that has to be negotiated. Can you imagine if you do a transaction that needs a rent back and you don't have it in writing, the amount or the time frame, and you close on the house and you own the house and you can't move in yet because the other ones, the sellers are still squatting in that house?
That's crazy.
Yeah, those are just some of the things that you just don't want, to have to deal with, because it can become very, very costly and emotionally draining, right? So they're also meaning realtors are bound by a code of ethics, which means that they know what has to be disclosed to the potential buyer, as well as how to disclose it, right? Their profession also requires that they carry insurance in case something goes wrong. If you don't have them in the transaction, you don't have that assurance or that insurance that's going to say if something goes awry, you're protected in this transaction. And people put themselves at a lot of financial risk because they decide to go at it on their own. So I just think it's important to know, a homeowner trying to sell on their own is just that, on their own. This can result in money lost if the home sells for less than the price a realtor could have achieved, or even worse, if costly litigation occurs during or after the closing. So you want to protect yourself to make sure that you're not having to take on that unnecessary potential liability because you don't have the expertise in this area of doing this type of transaction.
Right.
And I have people that tell me this, Malcolm. They'll say, "Well, I've done this 5 times in my life." I'm like, "Okay, but that realtor did that 5 times last month." Are you following me?
Yeah,
you did it 5 times in your whole lifetime, but that realtor has done that 5 times a month for the last 25 years.
Yes, sir.
They have certification on this. So the bottom line is, we don't want to lean to our own understanding, but in all our ways acknowledge God. And what does that say? He will direct your path. I believe that's the wisdom that comes from that scripture, what I'm talking about now. Because your own understanding is YOU. Say it again. Your own understanding. It's YOU. Get you out of the way. And again, that's just to me, I'm giving you the Cup of Joe version of how to buy and sell homes. I'm not saying that you can't do it on your own. Matter of fact, we're mentioning and we're talking about a for sale by owner situation. But I just believe that puts you in a higher risk than having a listing agent who is not only knowledgeable of the markets, the local markets and the laws, but also can help you in the event that some unforeseen litigation takes place, either before, during, or even after the home selling process. It's just prudent to get involved with the realtor, right?
Joe, can I ask a quick question?
Please, yes.
When it comes to owners selling their own homes, do you think it's more of a trust factor, or do you think it's more of a greed factor?
I wouldn't say greed. I think it's just a cost factor, because they've been told, or they just rationalize to themselves, I'm going to have to pay 6%. And if I have a $400,000 house, that 6% is a lot of money. I'd rather just do it myself. I already have people saying they want to buy my house. So they think, because they might just think, Malcolm, that all a realtor is going to do is list your house or draw up the paperwork. And then, of course, you can go to Rocket Lawyer and get the paperwork drawn up. But what it doesn't speak to is that in the worst case scenario, if something were to go awry in this transaction, you want to have a professional expert on your team that can help navigate and help minimize your financial exposure in the case that something goes bad.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's always worst case scenarios that we put these types of conversations in place. Of course, if everything goes perfect, no one's going to have anything to say. Everything went peachy cream. But how often do things just go peachy cream in life?
Hardly ever.
Hardly ever. There's always something that goes on, right? Let me get through this number 6. Yeah, number 6. And we're going to be going to halftime in a moment, but I think this is important that we get through this. I got 10 minutes, don't I? Absolutely, I do. Thank you, clock. Number 6 reason on how and why it's beneficial to work with a realtor as opposed to doing it yourself. Okay. That number 6 reason is, drum roll, please. A listing agent can require interested parties to get pre-approved or pre-qualified before viewing your home. It helps to vet the people that's coming into your home to put in offers, whatever the case. This greatly reduces the number of showings, but in a good way, which reduces the burden on you, especially if you're still living in the home. Can you imagine? Listen, can you imagine selling your home and having strangers come into your home to view it and then analyze what they're willing to pay for it? I would rather have that whole situation monitored and professionally worked through a realtor, because they'll respect my time. They'll respect, certainly. I don't want to get too deep into the minutia of it, man. Just know it's a better thing, because I'll take too much time going on my own commentary. Okay. You'd be surprised though at how many looky-loos, neighbors, community members, and people thinking about buying sometime in the future, homeowners who recently bought and want to compare houses, people just driving by, they'll show up when they see for sale or an open house sign. I would rather have a realtor systematically bring those people in that have already been vetted financially, that they can afford the home. They're not just coming over because they want to see what the layout is, or they just recently bought a house down the road for X amount of dollars so they can be sort of like nosy rosies to see what you're selling your house for. I don't want to have to deal with that if I'm selling the house, because my intent is to sell the house. So private sellers don't have the ability to require that buyers be vetted before they tour a home. You don't want to waste time on a showing, even if it's with people you want to buy your home, if they aren't financially qualified to do so. Doesn't that make sense?
Yes, sir. Plenty. I've tagged a couple realtor friends of mine. I hope they'll chime in soon.
Okay.
And let me know. One of them is a very, very good friend of mine named Shane Terry, his wife Nancy Terry. They are realtors right here in Spring, Texas.
Okay. Let's connect with them. That's what's up. Let's go with number 7 reason. Here's the cold, hard truth. Only 9%, write this number down, 9% of home buyers find their new homes by calling the number on a sign that they see while driving around in the neighborhood.
We're guilty of that.
I mean, think about it.
We're guilty of that.
Most people don't buy homes based on, I drove by in the neighborhood, I saw this, so I just came and pulled up. No, it happens 9% of the time, but let's go and play the numbers and play the odds. It's 81% of the time that it happens to the side that I'm describing here by having realtors. So the vast majority find homes with a real estate agent's help, since they have access to current and upcoming listings. A real estate professional knows how to market properties successfully through the MLS, which we talked about, the multiple listing services, but also within their office or on broker tours and doing open houses, which is another way to present the best, your house at its best is an open house, right? I believe that, Malcolm, anything that you're going to sell, if you're not going to take the time to really put it in tip-top shape, and I don't have to talk about cars. I don't have to talk about, look at me just jumping across. I don't have to talk about houses. I can talk about selling a car. I've had people say, man, I'm going to sell this car and my asking price is $1,500 or best offer, right? And I'm like, but it's dirty.
You didn't even take the time to clean it up, detail it.
Same thing with the home. It might cost you, if it cost you $100 to detail the car and present it at its best.
Yes, sir.
And you're offering, you're saying $1,500 or best offer. Don't you think your offer might go up if that car looks immaculate for the condition and the year it is? To me, it's common sense, but common sense is not common, ladies and gentlemen. So imagine if you have a house for sale, let alone a car, you want to present it in its best, at its best. And the way to do that is through an open house conducted through a licensed realtor who knows how to market that open house, knows how to navigate the ins and the goings and ongoings of that open house. You grinning. What's going on, Malcolm? Why are you laughing, bro?
Because I see so many homes that we've toured ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and we walk in and there's a putrid smell, or you can smell, I don't know,
The cats
and dogs, and I'm just like, you're trying to sell this home in this condition. How? Well,
Yeah.
why would you do such a thing? We've pulled up on other homes where there's junk all over the yard from the tenants that just moved out, left junk everywhere.
Right.
And I'm just like, you're gonna show me this house in this condition?
Right.
Why would you do that?
because they're not thinking about it in the same regard. And CJ, and I'll refer to her moving forward as CJ, the realtor, but she's much more than that, is saying minor cosmetic changes on your home can make a huge difference in what someone is willing to buy your home for.
Yes.
And let's be plain again, and I say this here just to bring you into my thinking on this and my knowledge of this. And this is general information I'm about to speak. People generally buy based on their perceived value of a thing, right? They don't buy based on what you think it's worth. They buy based on what they perceive the value of this thing to be. So if they perceive the car to be dirty, stinky, guess what? It's gonna lower the value, the perceived value in their mind. They're gonna offer you a whole lot less. If you clean the car up, or to a greater point, get cosmetic work done on the house, the perceived value in the mind of the potential buyer goes up. So it might cost you a little elbow grease. It might cost you a few $100s here or there to just do some touch-ups or whatever the case may be, but it's well worth it because it increases the perceived value to the potential buyer, you know? And CJ is saying that the first impressions are key. Absolutely. In everything, first impressions are key. Let alone when you talk about seeing something for the first time, looking to make an evaluation on what I perceive its value to be. If I see it all jacked up, it's going to lower that value. So I don't want to belabor that point, but that's just really the deal. So here's the final point, right? Number 8, real estate agents work for free. And every real estate agent said, stop the presses, Cup of Joe. We don't work for free. What are you talking about, brother? Let me tell you what I'm talking about. As a seller of your home, you do not pay anything until the transaction closes. Please tell me I'm speaking the truth, realtors out there, CJ, whoever's on here as a realtor. As a seller, you don't pay anything until the transaction closes. That means all the work is done up front, such as marketing, staging, repairing, managing inspections, rather, and the paperwork all get done long before an agent sees a commission. So don't count people's money. Don't count people, you know, and I have people that do that. So you ask a question, do people do these FSBOs because of greed? I don't think it's because of greed. I think it's because they figure they can do it themselves, and why pay them when I can pay myself? But they don't understand this transaction is much more convoluted than just listing the house and having somebody drive by and see it and then have all these strangers come into your house. It could be a lot more that goes on. Yes. So the bottom line is when it comes to cost, market knowledge, and negotiation strategy, the benefits of working with the real estate agent are plentiful. Plus, larger dollar amounts and legal ramifications often detract sellers from going at it alone, and for good reason, right? So if you have any further questions about that, of course, you can reach out to Joe Humphrey, Cup of Joe, in my office, because I have a network of realtors that I work with, and I vet realtors all the time, meaning that I want to make sure that if I'm going to refer a realtor, they are ones that not only, of course, they're licensed and they have all their certifications, but they also have a reputation of being patient, being knowledgeable, being friendly, being concise, being on time, being respectful of other people's time, and all the things that come with what you would want with anyone working on your team to help you accomplish something as monumental as buying or selling a house, right? So feel free to reach out to my office, and I'm gonna give you my number at this time. It's a good segue, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And if it's not, I'm gonna make it a great segue. My number, my personal number is 832-714-1003. Again, that's 832-714-1003. Because listen, guys, again, and I'm watching my feed, and CJ has given me so much content. She says realtors can work for months before the closing takes place, which is when they actually get paid, right? So again, I think we beat that horse pretty heavy, and I'll keep beating it, because again, I just think it's prudent wisdom to get with experts in a particular industry, in a particular endeavor, if you find yourself needing information and direction in that endeavor. Why put it all on yourself? Okay. So with that being said, Malcolm, let's go to a quick halftime break. because we're at the top of the hour, and I want to make sure that we can be ready and prepared for the second half of the show here, sir.
Thank you, Cup of Joe. This is the Cup of Joe Morning Show, everybody. We want y'all to tune in for more information about purchasing a home and what goes into the process of purchasing a home every Wednesday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. All you got to do is go to our Real Talk 100 Radio Facebook or YouTube channel, everybody. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back to the Cup of Joe Morning Show on Real Talk 100 Radio.
Cup of Joe Morning Show.
I put it up.
Cup of Joe Morning Show. Cup of Joe Morning Show. Cup of Joe Morning Show.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are right back at you. Play it again. No, it's all good. But listen, we're right back at you at the Cup of Joe Morning Show. We're excited that you still are with us. And again, tag a friend, tag a realtor, and let's keep this dialogue going. And our intent here, guys, and this is just really, entering the mind of Minolta here. Our intent is to make sure that we're giving you correct information in we would say expert information in areas that most of the times we are disenfranchised, right? Meaning in our community, we don't have a lot of people. And I mean, traditionally speaking, we don't have a lot of people working in these certain capacities in certain industries, but our counterparts do. And they freely give information to their nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters and people that they are close to, people that look like them. But when we get into positions of power like that, we tend to take a different route. And I'm not talking about everyone. I'm talking about what I'm talking about, right? We tend to take the information and sort of hoard it, where we're not necessarily giving it away for free. We take the mentality that we've learned over the years that, hey, I had to struggle up the rough side of the mountain to get this, so I'm going to have you do the same thing. It's going to build character, boy. And that to me is a poverty mentality, right? We are supposed to build a bridge and create a bridge for the next generation. We're not supposed to make it harder on them in order to say that because we went through hell to get to it, you got to go through hell equally to get to yours. That's why most people don't get to where they're trying to get to, right? But in other communities, in other races, they're not that way. I'm not going to make a point and be on the soapbox about Hispanics. But man, those people will live in a house 10 deep.
Yes, sir.
You know, I used to be in the. I got my man. Listen,
Yes.
I got my man on the line right now. Every time I see him, I just get excited. Mr. Sam Bean, the one and only. What's up, King Bean? I'm gonna have you call in a minute, brother, because we need to hear a word from you. Real talk. Matter of fact, put the number up real quick so I can let Bean, because Bean, you done interrupted my thought, bro, doing this.
The call-in number is on the screen, everybody. It is
832-560-2885. I'm only doing it twice because they hear you on that side, but they may not hear you coming clearly on my phone. That's the only reason I'm doing that. But listen, I want you to call in, Bean, in just a couple of moments, just if you have a moment. But what I'm saying is we don't have a mindset in our community to pay it forward to the generation that's behind us. We tend to, again, force them to go through the same stuff that we went through. But to me, that is more building and contributing to of impoverishment than empowerment. And we certainly, want to empower. That's the entire point of this broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to know in a nutshell why this little gray beard dude with the Titleist hat comes on here, drive an hour every Wednesday morning from my busy schedule, and it is a busy schedule, right? To come and talk for 2 hours is literally to help empower the community. And we empower the community with information and information exchange, a dialogue, because I believe that process we talked about earlier, Malcolm, is the same process. Exposure brings disclosure, that through Christ brings closure. It's been exposed, man. We are in our community, some of the smartest, man, we got, we got everything that's required for success. But let's be real. We don't see ourselves as our brother's keeper. We don't. So we hoard information traditionally as opposed to giving it away freely, because we think it's going to take away our competitive advantage, be it in the marketplace or in a societal standpoint. In other words, I want to be the smartest one in the room.
Sad.
But that to me is an offshoot, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to say it nice and clear, and I'll take my glasses off so you can look me right in my eyes when I say it. That is an offshoot of slavery. It is a plantation mentality, right? The divide and conquer rules of war have never changed. We are the most divided race on this planet.
That's right.
And it's by design. And the continuation of that is by design. It is to keep us at the bottom, economically, socially, and in any way they possibly can. Let's just be 100 and be real on this. I'm not going to win some friends, any more friends from my counterparts, but understand I'm speaking to my community right now.
That's right.
And that's just real talk.
And you're not saying anything wrong. I say it all the time. It's a poor people's mentality. You can't do everything by yourself. So why not enlist your friends, your family with the same knowledge you have, and y'all can become like an army.
Yeah, man. You mentioned that word poor. We talked about it last week. What did we say poor was? Passing over opportunities repeatedly. And we get so good at it, we pass over opportunities religiously, because we'll even bring Bible scriptures to justify our passing over what we deem to be a scam or a scheme. Do you know the word scheme? Since Sam Bean, call in now, buddy. Do you know the word scheme is the root word for schematic, a plan, a blueprint? But we say we mix up scheme with scam. We think they're the same. They're not the same. Not in a denotative meaning, nor in a connotative meaning. Connotative, well, let me just explain what I mean. Denotative meaning means a dictionary meaning, right? Connotating meaning is more of a implied meaning that we have as. And Sam, when I'm saying call, don't call me. Don't call me.
Killer safe call.
Hold on.
No.
Don't call me, Sam. Oh man, you got my phone stuck. Oh my God, Sam. No, baby. Okay.
Welcome everybody to the Cup of Joe Morning Show. We want y'all to tune in every Wednesday morning, every hump day morning.
Wow.
To the Cup of Joe Morning Show from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Oh, he's going to be discussing everything that I'm about to put on the screen right now.
Tell Sam Bean to call the number on the screen. Don't call my phone. He's got my phone locked right now. He's trying to call me on my phone. Don't call me on my phone. Why is my phone locked?
Yes, sir. I will get him that information in just a second. Thank y'all for tuning in, everybody, to the Cup of Joe Morning Show. That is the information that you will get from this show. You'll get from this show every Wednesday morning right here on the screen. Everybody, I'll enlarge it so you can see it better. He's going to be talking about mortgage lending. He's talking about realtors today and their role in the home buying purchase, in the home buying process, in the home selling process. That's the topic today. But you'll see at the bottom of the screen right there mostly what he talks about. He even talks about relationships on this show, and he encourages the listening audience to tune in, to chime in on topic, and to call in on topic. The call-in number
give me that number.
832-560-2885. That call-in number will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen for the rest of the show. It's 832-560-2885.
Sam Bean, call in the number that he's giving on. Don't call me on my cell phone, brother. I'm doing a live on my cell phone, so we just interrupted the live. So call me on the number that he just put out there, and I'll give it to you again here because it's in the chat. There we go. The number again is 832-560-2885. There we go.
Welcome to the Cup of Joe Morning Show. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with this morning?
Samuel Bean. He talking about me now.
Boy, I'm like, Sam Bean. Boy, what's going on? First of all, my brother, how you doing?
Man, I'm fantastic. How about yourself?
Man, if I was better, my last name would be Bean, and I'd be right over there with you and Kimmy, me and Cindy. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up. That's what's up, man.
Man, I so appreciate you, bro. Listen, I've told Malcolm a bit about you. That I've been, some people might say, they've been raised by snakes or raised by apes, but I've been raised by some very conscious, multimillionaire people, including yourself and your beautiful wife, Kim. And I hold you in such high esteem that when I saw your name on my thread, it made me light up. So I'm glad that you're on the call here, bro, because I've told my man that I want to have you on and we're going to just talk lifestyle and mindset. And you are a mindset a disruptor of mediocrity. So give an introduction, a quick bio, who you are, so people that don't know will have an idea of who this dude Cup of Joe is lauding over right now.
Man, look, I'm just a simple guy out of Houston, Texas. Grew up in Fifth Ward, in the projects. Everything was handed down, from clothes to food to Christmas toys and touch. Just very humble beginnings. But for me, fast forward, military veterans as a storm, and then into real estate for over 12 years, and then direct sales network marketing for 30, and been a owner and operator of a investment club for the last business academy investment club for the past 2 years. So that's me in a nutshell. But love Joe, love Cindy, and always, when I see them live, I don't always get a chance to do it because my schedule's so crazy, but when I get a chance to pop in and say hello, I do so because that's my way of showing my pride for my guy, because again, I love seeing people do great things for people in the community, period.
Absolutely. We used to refer to you, Sam, as the people's champ. Matter of fact, some of us still refer to you as the people's champ.
Yeah.
and it's a fitting title because let me just say this. And again, I believe in giving people their flowers while they're still yet here. So it's not a strange thing, what I'm saying, because again, I'm understating, sincerely, man, I'm understating the accolades that you and Kim deserve to hear on a regular basis. But I remember meeting you for the first time, and what really got my attention was you were doing things as if I was on your team, as if I was like you were directly benefiting from me, and you weren't. And we went to an event, and I remember, man, you were outside of the hotel, in the hotel lobby, into probably 5 a.m, literally just dropping nuggets after nugget after nugget on how to navigate through the mental aspect of what we were doing with direct sales and network marketing back in those days. So let's elaborate a bit on that, man. And again, I really want to get to your investment club, but that's going to be the crescendo. But I want you to elaborate on your 30 years, man, of experience. What would you say to someone who is looking to get into direct sales, and what should they be looking for? What mindset should they have? and who should they partner with, if that's even an applicable segue. But what advice could you give to millions of people who are trying to get into that industry and navigating that industry these days?
Man, that's a great question, and I really do want to answer that question, but I want to go right back before, because you talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the crab in the barrel mentality. You talked about the, I won't put you through hell because I had to go through it to get it type of stuff, and then you double back around and talked about how I stayed up at 5 o'clock in the morning teaching people who wasn't in my team.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's like, even though I didn't benefit directly, income wise, I benefited spiritually. You know what I'm saying? It's like I created a debt for my creator, to have to pay me back one day. You know what I'm saying? And so I go out and serve the populace, I go out and serve the masses, and for those who understand money and business, those who teach the most learn the most. So those were my years of sowing, years of pouring into people, years of evolving with every conversation, and learning in my audience. Even though the audience was captive, I was captive. I had other people's audience was captive, and it showed me that I can go out there and do bigger things. So those things that I did back in the day for people who would know my team, is what's paying me today for the things that I do for my team these days. And so, and it's also the reason, is a part of my brand. It's a part of my brand when it comes to me giving without expectations. Me serving the masses and being a 360-degree leader, like the book, John C. Maxwell. You should go get it. Everybody should go get it. Mm-hmm. I made a fortune off that one book. But when you put yourself in that position, you're building up your skill set, you're building up your brand. Your people are saying, man, this guy is great heart. This guy is just for the people. And it's something that they don't see every day. People are used to being stabbed in the back. People are used to, being lied to, manipulated. People are used to everything except for what what brings them comfort and security. And so, but that's kind of, why I did everything that I did, serving people, serving the masses, putting everybody before me and my family. So my family would never be last. And that's the mentality that I've always had, and that's never changed. That's always been my philosophy. So in direct sales and network marketing, guys, and any type of affiliate marketing programs, when you have at least one person come on and be added to any portfolio that you plan on building, that person has to be the priority. That person has to be more important, than you and your agenda. Mm-hmm. And so you start there. Okay.
But doesn't that require, Sam, because everyone that's coming in aren't going to have that mindset, doesn't that require some mind-bending education that will change from what most people are accustomed to and the way that most people are accustomed? Meaning, and I'll give you in a nutshell, if it's to be, it's up to me, and I got to take care of my 4 and no more mentality that just comes from living life. So doesn't it require a total shift in our thinking in order to navigate in the manner you're describing right now?
Well, it does, but like I said, in order for that shift to happen, you have to be open for it. You have to be you have to be flexible in your philosophies, and especially when your philosophies are not paying you. If you have poor philosophies and poor mentalities, and you have poor principles, and you want to maintain those things, you want to maintain ownership of those based on your ego, you shall be broke. Mm. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's just, I knew who I was, as a man, but I knew how I grew up as a kid. And I knew growing up as a kid, poor wasn't my choice, but growing up, as a man, rich is, and so, and rich and growing up as a man, poor is. So for me, I know that there are people out there who have my answers, not my problem. I know there are people out there who, if I really submitted myself to, which is a challenge that we have, as men, but from one black man to another black man, it's even a bigger challenge. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I had to weigh my ego versus, the desired result. And if I couldn't see myself, getting to that desired result by myself, I must submit. And so I openly, I said, hey, look, I know a lot about real estate. You know, and I know a lot about the military. I could probably teach you some stuff. But since we're not in the military business and not a real estate business, sir, please teach me everything you know about this network marketing and multi-level marketing arena, and I'll be your best student.
Right.
So, and for me, that's where it starts. You have to be open to change. You have to be flexible in your philosophies. And you got to understand that you are exactly where you're at today financially and economically, because that's where you made an appointment to be based on who you are mentally and emotionally.
Yeah, and you're saying so you said something, man, that I gotta say this, man. You just said that being broke or being wealthy is a choice. Either way,
yeah,
you're making a choice.
Yeah, think about it, though, and this is the thing. And people get it twisted. People don't want to get rich because of the work it takes, okay, and how hard it is. But you'll go and be broke, you know, with the same amount of effort that it takes to be broke. You have to be really good to be broke. You have to be solid. Like, you have to be committed to it. You know what I mean? You have to have a daily. Yeah, you have to have a daily regimen of thinking negative. You have to have a daily regimen of being around negative people. You have to have a daily regimen of complaining and not reading, not learning, not growing. You have to have a daily regimen of being a coward. You have to have a daily regimen, you know, of having an ego that's destructive. You have to sleep late, 12 o'clock in a day, and you have to be really good at that, Joe, to be broke. It's a commitment.
It is a commitment that people have either unconsciously or consciously have committed to being broke, but they have to work at it, what you're saying.
You have to work at that, man. You can't just wake up one day and say, you know what, you know, I'm gonna be almost broke. No, I'm gonna be broke. I'm going all in.
Wow.
Ain't no halfway. You know what I'm saying? When you get rich, ain't no halfway. When you get broke, ain't no halfway. The difference between rich and broke is one place most people get to stay, because that's where most of them start at, which is broke. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you made a decision to stay there. But getting rich, you do have to do something to get rich. You have to trigger yourself. You have to figure out what your detonating device is. You gotta, you know, something's gotta hit and make you go that route, and then you have to stay that route. But yeah, it's just the same amount of work, bro. Same amount of dedication, same kind of effort to be rich as it is to be poor, bro. It takes the same amount of time, 24 hours a day. You get the same. It all works the same. It all parallels.
Man, that's a wonderful perspective, bro. Because it our whole mantra over here on this coffee break. I was at the coffee break call. Did you hear what I just that?
Yep.
Did you hear the Freudian slip, Sam Bean?
Hey, look, and the crazy part about it is I just finished a cup of that coffee.
Did you really?
Yep, the Supreme. You know what it is.
Oh yeah. Come on now. You even wrote a song about that one, bro. You know?
Right.
But listen, man, this what I'm saying is we've committed to this radio broadcast, man, so we can demystify a lot of things that really, man, it's not really dealing with real estate, dealing with buying or selling a house or credit. It's really dealing with our mindset and how we look and view things, right? And one of the things I'm also picking up from you, and I know you personally, that I know this is just really a major, part of your whole makeup, is speaking of being of humility, of operating in humility. Because, you know, obviously, like you said, you could meet someone who knows what you don't know. And though you might know tons more in certain specific areas that they may not know, your ego is not in the way that makes you say, hey, I know all this about real estate, about being a military person, but now we're talking about something that I have no experience in. But some people have an issue with this, Sam, because they can't differentiate between how big they are in their own mind in other areas, and now they're in a different area where they have to almost like start from scratch, right? And that humility is just lacking. So if you want, you can elaborate on that, on the importance of having humility when it comes to navigating and be it in business or even personal relationships, man.
Man, humility is the most served character trait out there, bro. First of all, you can get anybody to come, like, you can have no knowledge whatsoever, but you have a really big desire to win. And if you're like literally a humble person and you're willing to ask for help, you know what I'm saying, you're willing to submit, and you merely follow a simple set of instructions without deviating from a plan, which shows respect for a person's time, people will come to your rescue. And so when you think you know everything, you have an ego, you're not humble, and every time somebody tries to teach you something, you end up trying to complete their sentences like you know it all, or you discredit everything that they say based on the fact that it didn't come from your mouth and your brain. What happens is the people who make 7, 8, 9 figures, they stop talking to you. And you lose access. So you don't get beyond where you're at. You get to stay where you're at based on your ego. But people who are humble and genuinely humble, those individuals are allowed to sit on stuff that they don't even qualify for. But because of their spirit, because of their, how they carry themselves, how they respect the person's time, and how they honor that person's time, which is extremely valuable, that person, gets to have access. They get to serve. They get to come to events and serve in capacity where they can ear hustle. They get invited to different things. And so, I've been able to sit in on meetings and events and calls and stuff like that through my career based on me serving the big platform, based on me always being there, based on me always pushing the agenda, the legitimate and integrative agenda of the companies and my leaders. And, so I gained that access to that information, took that information, applied it and made it my own. And so, but I don't get that information if I don't have access, and I don't have access if I'm not humble and submissive.
Right. And now here you stand as a source, as opposed to one that's going to a source to get information. Now you have become, and you've made yourself a source. So talk with us a bit about fintech as far as the industry, and then specifically what you have going on with your investment club.
Well, and think about it, and this for me, it's always been, I learned this also again from one of my coaches and mentors over the years. I never make it about a company. And so remember, you're the most important thing, the most important piece of the puzzle. You are the brand, you are the company. The companies that you do business with, they all change. And like I say, some of them do what they're going to do. But, when it comes to me, what we created was a business academy, and we created a system that allows people to come in and with no experience whatsoever, go through a process of grooming, them to become speakers, trainers, presenters, people who are top-notch recruiters, people who are huge closers, and also, teaching them how to launch teams, teaching them how to launch companies, teaching them, when it comes to, financial platforms or passive platforms, showing them how to design, their launch process and how to put their foundation together so it continues to pay them, over the years. And that's kind of the environment for people who are in these arenas. That's the type of mentality and things that they should be focusing on, because at the end of the day, you'll always have an opportunity to make some money, but you won't always have opportunities to go out there and launch groups and create your own brand and stuff like that. So based on what I was talking about and what we're doing, we have the club. The club has over 2,500 people in it, investors and stuff like that, and the business academy. But they're all learning, things that, again, like I mentioned earlier, and they're learning it at no extra cost, because it's a part of the system, it's a part of giving, and so now, I parlayed that into a book deal. I waited my whole entire life to write a book, and because it was always too soon, but now at the time perfectly, the time is perfect. Now we got some things on the table with that, the speaking engagements and things on the table with that. But it all came from, again, taking people and coming through on your promises, managing people's expectations, not over promising and under delivering, and being there 100% accountable for people when they trust you and believe in you and join you, and so, but off air, anything that because like I said, we're launching a new one on Thursday night, tomorrow night at 8:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. And so the goal is to have multiple investment opportunities. So, you can have a portfolio like a Warren Buffett, maybe not on that scale, but as diversified. And, you can now, if anything happens to one, you'll have something that's standing in the gap, or you have a couple that are standing in the gap till that one comes back or until it's replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm out of that, even though I still have 2 network marketing pieces in my portfolio. One is which we just talked about a minute ago, I built for over a decade, still paying us a multiple 5-figure monthly residual recurring income, and I haven't been there for 5 years. That's on there. Then we added a travel component for the lifestyle side of it, and those are the only 2 network marketing deals I have. But everything else is passive platforms, and so, and those people who have their hands in 4 or 5 or 6 of those platforms, again, they have money coming in from all over the place. So that's something that they've never had, as an employee. So now you have an employee with 5 or 6 different streams of income coming in. So now that employee is not your normal employee. That employee now can go to work happy, no stress, without no pressure. You can't fire me, because if you try to fire me, I'll quit.
Right.
And so that type of thing. And so, and that's why we just want to put people in that mind frame of empowerment, because we have a goal, Project 10,000, to take 10,000 families over the next 2 years to 5 years, help them get to $5,000 a month of residual recurring income. And you can't do that, with one platform, or you can, but it's risky.
Right.
You can't do that with a job. You can't do that, and then most network marketing companies, as just having one network marketing company, because the numbers in those companies, percentage-wise, of people who actually earn money, they're not the greatest.
Right.
So you want to put people in a mentality and a mindset that it's more than one way to skin a cat. And if you're going to skin a cat, you want to use the knife that Warren Buffett's using or somebody else is using, that's out there making millions of dollars or billions of dollars.
Right. Man, that's what's up, bro. And again, man, I want you to still come on this show, because we're going to do a deeper dive when your schedule certainly permits, because I just believe, man, people need to hear and be acquainted with a more excellent way. And I'm really on that beam, because we've been taught a certain way. And I have a good friend. He's a bishop back in Michigan. He used to always say something, and it ran across my mind, so I believe I have to say it. He would say something down the lines of, it's not that we just live life in error. He says we live life, and the error that we run the risk of is limiting ourselves to being exposed to a more excellent way. In other words, all people know is go to work, or go to school to get a degree so you can go to get a job and go to work for 40 years. You know what I mean? Yeah. That 40 plan, right? Work 40 years.
Right.
You did. And we've done that, and we see that it doesn't lend itself to building generational wealth in no way. It just keeps us perpetually regurgitating the same thing, generation after generation. But I love the fact that you and your wife, man, have been champions for empowering people and changing mindsets and changing our trajectory as far as not only what we can make and earn, but just the way we think and living a more peaceful existence, man. I mean, it's real,
Think about this for a second, Joe. You just, we talked about, people who believe in the 40-40-40 plan, and you got to think about 99% of them have no choice but to believe, because they're taking advice from people who that was their philosophy, and so and when it comes down to it, when it's all said and done, it's your comfort comes, your comfort puts you in a position where you become a casualty. Okay, and so when I say that, like when I came off the military road, I didn't go back to Fifth Ward. I didn't go back to the ghetto and put it back to the project that I grew up in, because again, that puts me in that environment where I can't learn anything, I can't grow, and then I regress, because basically everything I was going through before I went to the military, I get to go through again, and I end up moving to a whole entirely different side of town from Houston that was far away from my family, far away from my friends, and I basically said, what, I'm going to learn from some people who already have my answer, not my problems. These people are in real estate. My family is not in real estate. So let me go over and learn from these real estate people over here. Let me go over and learn from these people who are speaking publicly over here, when at the time I had a gold tooth and I couldn't put a sentence together to save my life without somebody laughing. You know what I mean? And so it's like there's a whole lot of discomfort, that I had to embrace and welcome. I had to embrace being ridiculed. I had to embrace being laughed at because of my wardrobe. I had to be embraced. I had to embrace this a lack of feeling inadequate in these circles and not having any type of knowledge of what was going on. I just wanted to come up. I just needed a chance and somebody to believe in me. But I knew I wasn't gonna get that chance in my neighborhood and with my family. So I needed to go now and borrow somebody else's belief. And that's again me making that decision to move to a different side of the town and separate myself from the comfort of my mom and my grandmother and my uncles, aunts, and friends and family that I grew up with. That had a whole lot to do with me having a chance and giving myself a legitimate chance to reprogram myself without any viruses, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely. And if we want change, man, we always say, if you want change, you got to become the change you want. But I believe, to the point that you're making, if we want something different, we have to definitely do something different. And going back to where we come from, what are we going to derive? What new ideas and concepts are we going to get from going back to the place we grew up most of our lives? I'm not speaking against not going back. I'm speaking of if you have an idea that you want something better and thinking you're going to get that in the same environment you just came up out of, I think that's just doing yourself a major disservice, Oh,
for sure.
Yeah. So
for sure. Yeah. And I still go back. And I still got my boys. I still go back and play chess. I still go back to block parties. I still go back and reminisce about some of the good old times through all the dark times. That's their family. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you don't get to divorce your family. You know what I'm saying? But you do get a chance to pick and choose what philosophies you take from them.
Right.
And that's the thing. I understand that I love you. I respect you as my father, my mother, my uncle, my pastor. But I don't respect, your information that you're giving me based on how to become, financially secure, because you're not.
Right. And we always say, being you don't take advice from someone you are not willing to trade places with.
Right.
Yeah. There was a book I read, man, and it says something real quickly. It says that most people who are unsuccessful or unwealthy, I use the word unwealthy, that's not wealthy,
mm-hmm.
They've learned wealth principles from people who themselves were not wealthy, meaning that most of the times we're Uncle so-and-so is telling us you need to do this and do that. But if you examine Uncle so-and-so's life, he has no evidence of what he's directing you on. But because he's your uncle, you tend to want to listen to him and be influenced by him. But what I know, and certainly by trial and error and meeting people like yourself who are successful in the multitudes of ways, not just, again, people who got a lot of money. I mean, I think of wealth as you have a beautiful family. I look at your children and your beautiful wife, man, and I'm like, man, who wouldn't want that as the package? We talked about earlier. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose what's in your soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions? And your family helps in that regard. So, man, I salute you, my brother. I don't want to hold your time unless you got some more time to give me, because then I'll let you just go. I say.
I do. I can't squeeze in another 10 minutes. I got you, bro. Like I said, this is cool, man. Like I said, this is all good, man. This is all a benefit and a blessing to people, bro. Because, like I said, you talk about that I'm happy, man. When we had my first son, we were broke. Beneath broke. Like I can say that's, man. Some people said broke would have been an improvement. And I sacrificed the first couple of years of my son's life on the road, traveling, building, growing, developing, and being something that we can live on, forever. And that when I start getting back into the fold, and I start spending money, I'm making more money and having more freedom, which is very, very important to me. Time freedom is huge to me. I got a chance to now, when they was 5 and 6 and 7, to be there all the time, and more time than not. Now I'm there all the time. You know what I'm saying? I'm at all the football games. I'm at all the practices. I'm the one taking my son to do the shopping. Now Kim has had her moment with both my boys, teaching them about and stuff like that growing up and nurturing and giving them their kind side. And so now I get to take over from here because now, like I said, this big boy talk, this man talk, and anytime my son has something to talk about, we can actually have conversations throughout the day or whatever because I'm available, I'm free,
Right.
And so for me, the whole entire journey that we've been on to create wealth, it was for this type of the familiar wealth, the family type. That's being able to spend time with my friends, my family, like going to the boat on a regular basis, and going on trips like this. Just got back from Brazil, just got back, going to Colombia in December, and basically in 3 weeks. Just got back from Cancun twice. This is just I ain't got nowhere to be.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be the richest man on the face of the earth. I'm just trying to be the happiest man. So I'm trying to make my family the happiest. Trying to make sure my wife is proud, make sure my wife is secure, and make sure all my people are taken care of. And that's as long as all that's done, I'm good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That because everybody, you got people who are giving themselves unreasonable expectations, and they have amassed some wealth and amassed a lot of money and some really strong portfolios, but they give themselves no time. They are not living.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm very in tune with myself. Like I said, I like being the only person on the road in my neighborhood during the day, riding my bike to the gym. You know what I'm saying? I like being, at home by myself and up under the waterfalls in my pool, swimming with my dog.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? While everybody's at work or doing something they really don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? And so I understand, what my ultimate goal is and what I need to do to get there and who I need to become to get there. And most people don't know themselves. They don't reflect at all. They give themselves no quiet time. They give themselves no Q&A. They have no idea who they are and what they need and what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very in tune with all of that, and I make sure my people are as well. We talk about it all the time. So, but that's important as well, man. Like let your wealth be your wealth. Let your goal be your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Stop living and stop setting your goals for everybody else's. To everybody else to marvel at. The fact that I'm free and ain't got nowhere to be. I know me and some of my neighbors, we have these conversations. And they ask me what I do because I'm the only one most of the time that's at home.
Yeah.
And I stand in a affluent neighborhood, where people have, significant stuff going on in their life. But it's just the fact that they see me and my wife at home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, unless we traveling, and they all curious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're Black.
That part. That part.
You're a young Black man, so they go, "What this dude do?" He living out here.
Oh my God! They think I'm married to money because Kim Vietnamese.
Man, we laughing about it, but you best understand this is real. Hey, let's pause for a moment, Sam, because Malcolm Jackson, who's the owner of the radio station and also my engineer, has a question.
Okay. Sure.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Bean. I've heard a lot about you through the Cup of Joe, Mr. Joseph.
Likewise, Mr. Jackson.
Quick question for you. First of all, I'd like to touch on your neighborhood where you grew up at. Salute,
Mm-hmm.
Salute. We're from the same place, brother man, and I
Okay.
I go through some of the same things you do. I don't. I was listening the whole time when you said you respect your elders, you respect your pastor, your uncle, your mother, your father, but you don't respect that they can't guide you in the way you need to go. So you had to separate yourself.
Right.
Salute to you, brother. I go through and I chunk up the deuce a lot. I cannot stop because of things that transpired there in the past. But hey, to my question. What do you say to those who are having trouble selling the idea that you're selling, and that is that you have to sacrifice in order to get where you're trying to go in life? If they're having trouble selling that idea to their circle of influence, how do you sell that to people who aren't trying to adhere? Is that the word I'm looking for?
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing. I don't have. It's not a hard sell, actually. I've learned that the biggest teacher, is the amount of zeros you have in your bank account, your zip code, where you live, your lifestyle, how many hours you work a week. See, a person who tells me that they have a problem learning is a person that you're going to have to now convince to do anything and everything. And for me, I make it very, really clear that anything worth having is worth working for. Yeah, I don't sugarcoat anything. I had to learn. I had to grow. I had to get rid of the gold tooth. I had to literally, get rid of this. And you know where I'm from. Since you know where I'm from, you know what Stay Flow do. I had to get rid of the cleats in the front, jeans that stood up on the wall by themselves. I had to get rid of the Jordans. I had to get rid of.
Hey,
I feel you,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Because there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it now. I can go back and wear all that now. I could wear it in a boardroom meeting. I went into my first meeting with a huge gold chain and a huge. And Joe has probably heard this story before. A huge gold chain, a huge medallion with diamonds all in it. And the diamonds came out in the cone with poke your eye. He was supposed to rings on all fingers. You know what I'm saying? And I walked in with a polo shirt on, blue jeans on, and a polo boots, a briefcase. All I had in that polo boot, and then that briefcase was a yellow pad of paper and a pen. I used it as my desk. Everybody else in the room had suits on, right? I pulled up. I'm in a Cadillac Fleetwood with skirt, Ethers and Vogues, all white, wood grain, everything on the inside. Big Sam on the license plate. I was straight Fifth Ward going to a business meeting. And with that gold, when I smiled and people saw that gold tooth, I was not business. I was being. You know what I'm saying? And so when they had to draw straws to figure out who was going to ask me to take the gold tooth out my mouth. Nobody wanted to talk to me about it. You know what I'm saying? But they found out, it's like, you know what? The person who drew the straw, he said, hey, man, look, when they had the conversation, long story short, he said, would you be opposed to taking the gold tooth out? I said, man, if it's going to stop me from making millions of dollars, out, let's go. You got somebody? You know what I mean? Let's go shopping. I can't dress like this. That's fine. Let's go buy some suits. I had no suits. I had one tie. It was a paisley tie with a clip on. And if you saw it, it was a bad day because somebody died. That was the only time I wore it. Okay. I changed because the pain of remaining the same, remaining broke, was too powerful and too overwhelming for me to stay that way. I knew, I'm looking at it, and I knew I had nothing in my portfolio outside of what I was looking at that was going to get me anywhere close to being wealthy or free. So when I'm talking to a person, I'm saying we got all these systems set up for you. We got stuff to teach you how to speak in public. We got stuff to teach you how to close deals. We have stuff to teach you about personal development and evolve in your life so you can take you can increase your financial thermostat from $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 a year to $200,000, $500,000 to $1 million a year. And if I am laying this out to you and I'm showing you that we have, not just a plan, but we already have people who made millions over here, people who are free over here, people who have no job over here, and you got a problem with it, that's your problem. I can't convince you to get out of that problem. And the only way I can convince you to get out of that problem is indirectly. That's why social media is one of the best things that has ever happened and one of the worst things that ever happened. Because now people who grew up with me, they get to see how I live. So now instead of not following my advice when I was right there with them on the same level saying, hey, I got something hot for you to look at, and I was on the same level as them, when they was like, dude, you know what I'm saying, you out here with us. They wasn't paying me no attention. So now when they hear everybody on social media refer to me as Mr. Bean, not Sam, and they on all my posts, listen to all my personal development stuff, listen to all my videos and watching all my quotes, it's like, okay, so now he's different. And so now they're reaching out. So now I can help them because I had an indirect impact. You got to show people around the people who are saying no, or the people who are being negative, or the people who are doubting you are the situation. You got to show them that you are legit by helping other people win that will go back and report to them. Okay. And that's how because you can't want it better for a person than they want it for themselves.
Right.
I say it all, and I say it all the time. And I'm just expounding on what you're saying by using this word. I use the word credibility all the time. You have to be, you have to be credible in order to convince people. So thank you. You said exactly. You said exactly what I usually say, and as a rebuttal to somebody who's what's the word I'm looking for? Who's repelling what I'm trying to give to them, knowledge. What
Right.
you know, I understand I'm not at the stature that you are yet.
How would you know that, man?
Man, yeah, I would you know
that, man.
How do I know what? That I'm not at
That you're not in the status. You can just go and speak. You don't have to qualify what you're saying, man. You are. If somebody were to compare themselves to you, they're not at the status you are. So
true.
It's not wise to compare ourselves.
True.
Yeah, because I'm over there saying, man, congratulations. You have something that a lot of people don't have, which is a station to actually to operate from, a platform that you can empower people with, and you can monetize in a great way. You know, and I'm saying, man, congratulations to you and your accomplishment. You know what I'm saying? Especially because you came from where I came from. So, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, Bean, I'm gonna.
I really, really want you to appreciate. I mean, I really want you to, like I said, take that in, man, because again, that's powerful in its own right, bro.
Thank you,
Bean. I'm working with Mr. Malcolm, man, because Mr. Malcolm, he has a very strong sense of sincerity, humility, but at the same time, he doesn't give himself as much credit because he's in the skin he's in, man. So I don't know if Malcolm appreciates what he's doing, but how many people that we heard that we know other than James Brown that own their own their own radio stations, you know what I'm saying? So
man, I'm telling you,
have credit, bro, for what we're doing and what's going on, man.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
But let me say this to you, Sam, before we let you go, man. You know, you are a wealth of knowledge with this, man, and I'm gonna keep reiterating. I want you to break your schedule to get here so we can have a 2-hour field. Just the same thing we used to do back in the day, just go back and forth, and it's edification to help people to understand and navigate and sometimes overcome those fears of stepping out, man, you know, of stepping out and doing something different, because I think fear cripples us, you know.
Right.
And you know,
you're right about that.
Yeah, and it's not anything that we would take personal. It's just and not, you were saying something and I wanted to address it if I can get my thoughts together. I don't think it's a matter of us who are looking to be successful and who are succeeding in certain endeavors to go at a target group. And, you know, even when we do have credibility, because I was told years ago that people that know you and love you will merely tolerate you until they see others who you don't know, strangers, celebrating you. So I've always, remember the phrase that you guys used to always use, move them without touching them. Remember that?
Yeah.
You know,
moving without putting your hands on them. You know what I'm saying? You got, move them indirectly.
Yes, that's the same thing that Malcolm is actually saying, that your success at anything, and like you said, people are always going to go run tell that, you know?
Yeah.
That's just the nature of it, you know? So all we got to do is focus on the lane that we're in and put the blinders on and not be concerned about what the naysayers, you know what I'm saying? If the naysayers naysaying ain't doing nothing but bringing me fuel, then let it just bring me fuel. But it doesn't make me feel obligated to address anything with them, because my success in and of itself is going to allow them to see who and what I'm really about. Anything is just going to be words coming out my mouth. You did?
That's correct.
So
now watch this part. Because you look at, one of the things, a lot of things, people who have opportunity to do something great, they make some mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes that we make is we have the right heart. A lot of times we say, we black on everything, black this, that, black that. But you can't really help a lot of black people unless you help a lot of other people that don't look like you first, because the people who they respect don't look like you. The people who they respect, again, Caucasian, Asian, this is Indian, the people who are outside of the African American, culture, they respect them. So when you are seen, respected by them, revered by them, appreciated by them, celebrated by them, that's when your people will say, you know what, man, if all of them and all these other nationalities from all around the world and all around the globe are celebrating him, what am I doing? Why am I tripping?
Yeah, what am I missing?
Yeah, it's okay. Now it's okay to follow Joe Humphrey because he had followers over here in this nationality, followers over here in this nationality. He's got a diverse platform, and so now you can go back and help people, because I'm not a black business owner. Okay? I'm an entrepreneur who just happens to be black.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so when you go and you start, you know what I'm saying, hey, I'm a Christian. I'm only going to deal with Christians. You know, you inoculate yourself from every other religion. Or I'm a female. I'm only doing females for business. You know, for females and with females. Now then you lose half the population.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so what happens is you're now putting yourself in a position where you don't have the influence, especially if you're brand new, to move a nationality that don't believe in you already to begin with. Your heart is right, but your posture, you know, you don't have enough in your resume, you know, to get a person to believe in you and follow you. So you have to go out there and be the best you can be for everybody around the world, so you can come back and say to people who look like you.
Yeah. And when we do,
no different with your family. It's not like we talk about African Americans. It's the same thing with your family. Same thing with your family, your sisters, your brothers, uncles, cousins, all that stuff. I basically, you know, when it comes to my family, again, I would tell my family about, you know, the coffee company. But give an example, way back in the day, before we made millions in coffee, right? And when we first started talking about it, you know, and even before that, in my legal days, before we started talking about it, you know, people always look at me as nephew, cuz, you know, homie, you know, big brother, you know, that type of thing, son, you know, and so on. And so now, once I say, okay, I've told y'all what I'm about to do, I've expressed to y'all how I wanted to help y'all. Now I've done my part. I put you in the hands of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And so now the rest is, I've done that part. Now the other part that I have to do is go be successful in front of you so you can see it. So now you can believe in me, and now I can actually help you. I'm doing this for you. That's what it's all about. You got that's because it's not just the nationality; it's the people who are closest to you as well.
Absolutely, and particularly them because they have more influence on you. You know, but yeah. I want to say this last thing, and I know we're nearing the top of the hour, so we're going to have to cut this thing short. And I'm loving this conversation. And I know for those who are still with us here, if I owe you an apology that we shifted gears, seems like on the fly. Certain times in life, you need to shift on the fly. You know, I don't. Yeah, we were talking about before we got into this topic here, Sam. We were talking about, you know, how to vet through realtors and the importance of getting with the realtor and all that. But let's understand the real intent is literally changing people's minds, or at least opening people's minds, and we're depositing information. Now, what we're talking about is we're massaging people's brains with this information. It may not seem like you know it's incredibly deep information, but the fact of the matter is, man, we're talking about changing our mindset and having someone who has experience in coming from, by lack of a definition, nothing to where you are now. Man, we got to be all ears whenever we have an opportunity, because we don't have that opportunity often. We read about people who like the rags to riches story, but when we got one right in front of us, right from one of the wards here in H-Town, man, we need to take the time and not only listen, but we need to take the time to honor those soldiers who have the heart to help and to pay it forward to the rest of us who may not have that experience. So I salute you, my brother. Real talk.
And keep in mind, there's no honor where there's resentment. Okay, you can't honor a person who you resent. You know, so if I came from your hood, or if I came from your family, and you resent the fact that it's me, not you, you can't honor that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the other thing you got to understand. The other thing you got to do as we wrap up is you got a lot of people who are, again, because of, remember I told you how great you have to be at being broke? A lot of people unconsciously are lazily learning, even today. Oh man, you know what? I want to do something for myself. How many times you hear somebody say, "Man, I just got my real estate license because I'm gonna go blow it up," and don't go do nothing with it, right?
Yeah.
They'll sit down and listen to a class or be on somebody else's little YouTube stuff and don't do nothing. They don't apply nothing at all. They lazily learning, which means that they procrastinate. And by the time they finally make a decision to do something and apply the information, you know, that they are learning or that they're lazily, it's already obsolete information and it's already out. You won't make any money with it. So I just tell everybody this: go out here and look at who you've been for your whole entire life to get to the income where you're at right now. And, you know, in order for you to go out here and do something different, you need to go out there and be somebody different. You got to go out there and be the exact opposite of who you've been up until this point, whether you're 40, 50, 60, it don't matter. If it ain't got you to the point to where you can just wake up any day and do whatever you want to do, how you want to do it, then you got some learning to do. And so you don't get to basically say, hey, look, I'm okay with where I'm at right now. If you got kids, if you got a spouse, you know what I'm saying? You need to take it upon yourself to go out there and be proactive and make a decision and apply everything that you learn immediately after you learn it, because that's the only way things are going to start to change.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mr. Bean, before we release the call and let you go, I have something special just for you.
Yes, sir.
Well deserved, my friend. Well deserved. We appreciate you, sir. We do.
Hey, man, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all keep up the great work, man. And so we'll definitely get together on a day and time, and we'll get back on here and chop it up for real, all right?
Yeah, for sure. We're going to go deep next time. I mean, not that we didn't go deep this time, but we're going to go deep. We're going to go deep fishing with the next one, baby. You know it.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Ms. Jackson, congratulations, bro. Keep it pumping, all right?
Thank you, sir. Nice talking to you. Nice meeting you.
All right, now. Bye, guys.
I appreciate you, Bam. I said Bam. Bean. Sam Bean. Listen, guys, he's on Facebook, and I think Malcolm put his banner in the chat. So, guys, listen to Sam Bean. He is an economic equalizer. He's literally changing people's lives, guys, and I know it because just being around him and his wife literally has made Cindy and I, strive for greater. And again, we're not comparing ours to theirs. We're just saying, hey, what you have, we appreciate, we see it, we see how in the manner in which you do it, because everybody that you see, Malcolm, that's got a lot of material stuff, man, you may not want to trade lives with them because they can be miserable behind those closed doors, but if you see somebody who's doing it the right way, paying it forward and have a good balance, if that word is a real reality for us, a good balance of finances, fun and family.
Yes, sir.
Man, I strive for that, and I appreciate that.
Exactly. That's what I'm striving for. Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Balance.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have come to the end of another show, and ladies and gentlemen, listen, I hope that our detour wasn't distracting. I know we had you in the first hour tagging realtors. We want to continue to have you do so. And you're going to find that with our show, whatever we talk about on today, when we come back tomorrow, we'll have time to do a brief recap. And it's so utterly important that we get the information to you. So please, please, please tune in again, this same bat time, same bat station, to the Cup of Joe morning show every Wednesday morning, starting at 10 o'clock, a.m. Central Standard Time. And we're going to conclude here with this track, which is the second one there, man. Let's play that and we can close out on it, right?
Yes,
Let's just bounce. God bless. We'll talk to you. Peace.
Bye-bye, everybody. We'll see y'all next week on the Cup of Joe Morning Show.
Cup of Joe Morning Show. Cup of Joe Morning Show. Cup of Joe Morning Show. Cup of Joe Morning